It's Thursday, March 30. In the headlines, motorists warned electronic warrants coming soon. JUTC workers upset about wage package. In business news, gas prices up by $3.06. Regionally, British Business Chamber of Commerce launched in Guyana. Internationally, UN agrees on a role for International Court of Justice in climate change. And in sports, history-making victories at the ISA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. There is unrest at the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, JUTC. Some drivers took industrial action on Wednesday, resulting in crowds at the JUTC's major transportation hubs in the corporate area. The workers are showing discontent with their wage package under the government's public sector compensation review. Some commuters had to find alternative means of transportation to reach their destination. Corporate Communications Manager at JUTC, Cecil Toms, says efforts are being made to settle the issue, but conceded that he would not guarantee when the drivers would resume duties. Motorists are being warned that they could be pulled over by the police and immediately brought before the traffic court to settle outstanding matters. This will happen with the introduction of electronic warrants. Justice Minister Delwar Chuck gave the warning Tuesday as he piloted the Electronic Transaction Amendment Act 2023, which was debated and passed in the House of Representatives.
The sheer volume of the documents required creates an unwieldy and untenable situation in the island's parish courts, as the demand for the timely execution of the process outstrips the available human resource capacity. Madam Speaker, we have a situation, where every week, 3,000 approximately, warrants need to be issued across the parish courts. In Kingston and St. Andrew alone, in excess of 1,500. Just consider the paper-based issuing of a warrant. They have to be written up for each ticket, signed by the judge before it is available for execution. And that is why, Madam Speaker, not many warrants have been issued.
Parents are being encouraged to do their part in supporting the children's journey in the world of mathematics. It's a subject that is often associated with anxiety and negative connotations. The Ministry of Education and Youth is celebrating National Mathematics Week between March 26 to March 31 under the theme Reigniting the Maths Flame, Light Up Your World. A virtual parent forum was held to discuss issues and present solutions on how parents can help to dispel students' negative attitude towards the subject.
Regional Math Coordinator in the Ministry of Education and Youth, Lamar Edgehill, sought to reignite the math flame during Wednesday's National Mathematics Parent Forum. He encouraged parents to play games like dominoes and dice with their children to generate their interest in math.
So what we want to do with our children then is to actually see how we can pull on various resources at home to bring that into the fore to use to bring across mathematics concepts.
Parents are also being encouraged to reinforce the use of mathematics in everyday life.
When you wake up in the morning, you check the time. I'm sure you have to determine how much time you have left before you get out of the house to get to work. I'm sure when you go to purchase an item, you want to ensure that you calculate the correct change so that you're not robbed or you don't rob the person who you're doing business with.
He also listed baking and cooking, sorting and organizing, budgeting and finances as other ways to reinforce the use of math in everyday life.
When we think about the reinforcement, we want to also think about the encouragement factor. Because one of the things that we can't ignore when it comes down to mathematics is the fact that, again, our children may make mistakes. There are times when they'll feel as if they're not learning, they're not understanding, or because they make an error, for them, they believe that, boy, I'm just not good at math. But that's not the case. As parents, we need to ensure that we play our role in encouraging our children so that they can really begin to improve and take on the skill set.
Mr. Edgehill says parents can actually invite their children to teach them the math concepts being taught in school.
So we want to actually ask questions. We want to really query about the homework process. So when your child comes home, you should be asking the question, what did you get for homework today? Let me see it. Invite your child to actually teach you. Because there are times when you may not even understand what it is that is there, but there's no harm in learning a thing or two from your child or your children. So invite them to teach you. And at the same time too, while they're going through the process, encourage them, show them, help them, make the mistakes with them and let them know that, look, we're in this together, and over time, if we get at it, we can actually understand the concepts.
According to documents reflecting the nation's goal in educating the masses, it is evident that mathematics has a vital role in the process of development and is considered to be one of the basics of education. The process of education must provide for opportunities to develop and extend mathematical competencies through the use of effective problem-solving processes. For the news on PBCJ, I am Carla Thomas Hewitt.
In the upcoming business report, gas prices are up and over $1 billion invested in Guyana's agriculture sector. Danita Rodney tells us more.
Motorists will pay more for gas when they go to the pumps on Thursday, as state-owned oil refinery Petrojam says up by $3.06. E1087 and E1090 will sell for $167.82 and $172.29 respectively. Up by 25 cents, automotive diesel oil will sell for $191.87 per liter. Ultra-low sulfur will sell for $202.71 per liter, and kerosene will sell for $202.92 per liter. In the meantime, propane cooking gas will go up by $1.19 to sell for $65.64, while butane will move up by 84 cents to sell for $71.76 per liter. Remember, retailers will add their markups to the announced prices. The Bank of Jamaica has kept the monetary policy interest rate at 7%. The central bank announced on Wednesday that the decision to hold the rate was to maintain tight Jamaican dollar liquidity. The next interest rate decision is due in May. As at February, inflation stood at 7.8%. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, March 29, the US dollar sold for an average of $151.88. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.14. The pound sterling traded for $187.55, and the euro sold for an average of $166.66. In JSE trading, the JSE index advanced by 976 points. The junior market index declined by 15 points. The combined market index advanced by 760 points, and the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 3,756 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 124 stocks, of which 45 advanced, 42 declined, and 37 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Verbal Preference, Barita Investments Limited, and Berger Paints Jamaica Limited. Trading firm were Derrimon Trading Company Limited, Epley 7.50% preference shares due 2024, and Epley Caribbean Property Fund Limited SCC. The overall volume leaders were Key Insurance Company Limited with over 44 million units, Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 7 million units, and the Fosrich Company Limited with over 2 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund posted a volume of 357 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Goddard Enterprises Limited was the sole security trading 20,000 shares. In regional business, in Guyana, 24 contracts amounting to over $1.1 billion were signed on Wednesday by contractors for works to be carried out in the coming months for agencies across the agriculture sector. More in this report.
Contracts over $1 billion were signed by the Agriculture Ministry on Wednesday to further advance the sector as part of its vision of achieving food security. To further overhaul the sugar industry, $532 million in contracts were inked for the Ghana Sugar Corporation, Gaisuku.
This year, we are hoping that the Rose Hall estate will be operable in the second crop, and there are a number of projects that are earmarked both for Albion, Rose Hall, and also the other two estates, Blairmont and Iflot.
For the Mahikoni Aberi Agricultural Development Authority, MMA-ADA, a $26.9 million contract was inked for the upgrading of the primary access all-weather road along the main canal after it was deteriorated due to inclement weather. This will benefit 40,000 acres of livestock, rice and other croplands, and 1,200 farmers.
So I want to urge you that let us work together. Let us ensure that the project commences on time. Let us do it to the standard that is in the contract. Let us ensure that we abide with all the rules. Let us also ensure that we do it in the stipulated time that is provided in the contract document so that everyone will be satisfied. And you know for a fact that the people out there, they are expecting a service from the Ministry of Agriculture and the government of Guyana, and we have to deliver that service through you.
For the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, a revetment will be constructed at Flagstaff, Cane Grove, and a concrete bridge will be built at number 10 Perth Baibu Channel. In addition, the access road at Underneaming Phase 2 will be rehabilitated, while 16 pontoons, 10 pumps, and 10 excavators will be rehabilitated in regions 2 to 10. Some $15 million was inked to further advance the fisheries industry.
In international business, Wall Street gains with rosy outlooks from Micron Technology and other companies ease some worries about the economy.
U.S. stocks ended sharply higher on Wednesday, as upbeat outlooks from Micron Technology and other companies helped ease worries about the economy. The Dow climbed 1%, the S&P 500 added 1.4%, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ Composite jumped about 1.8%. Memory chip maker Micron Technology's shares advanced 7% after it gave a rosy outlook for 2025, indicating artificial intelligence would boost sales. Adding to the optimism, Lululemon Athletica jumped after an upbeat annual results forecast.
Today, it looks like people are just kind of breathing a sigh of relief.
Scott Ladner is Chief Investment Officer at Horizon Investment.
Frankly, we have interest rate volatility that's coming down, that's leading to equity volatility that's coming down. It's leading to risk managers being able to put more money at work. And we are having a little bit of I guess some fears about more banks failing are starting to subside, and that is leading to people just basically willing to put money back into this market.
The S&P 500 Banks Index rose 1.4% to close at its highest level in over a week. The latest hint of calm among bank stocks after regional U.S. lender First Citizens Bank shares scooped up the assets of failed peer Silicon Valley Bank earlier in the week.
In market data for oil prices rose as a surprise drop in U.S. crude stockpiles and a halt in exports offset a smaller than expected cut to Russian supplies. Brent crude futures rose 49 cents to $78.77 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude rose 58 cents to $73.55 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, Guyana and the United Kingdom on Tuesday celebrated a triple treat with the official launch of the British Business Chamber of Commerce Guyana, BritCham, which follows the removal of the visa requirement for Guyanese traveling to the UK and the return of British Airways to Guyana-UK route.
Prime Minister Mark Phillips and the high-ranking government delegation joined British High Commissioner Jane Miller and visiting UK Minister David Rutley at the High Commissioner's residence Tuesday night for a reception in honour of the launch of the British Chamber of Commerce Guyana BritCham. The move to establish the new business chamber comes on the heels of the announcement of visa-free travel to the United Kingdom, a direct British Airways flight, and the signing of a partnership agreement by Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation UTAD and His Excellency Trade Commissioner for Latin America and the Caribbean Jonathan Knott in November 2022. PM Phillips said while the chamber offers an advantage to expand trade and tourism, Guyana also wants support for its ambitions of becoming a regional hub for food and energy security and environmental services. He particularly referenced the partnership agreement signed last November between Guyana and the UK and said he would like to see action to implement the pact intended to deliver innovation, technology and knowledge for greener growth in Guyana.
We would like to see increased cooperation between Guyana and Great Britain in these areas. And it is our wish that your visit, Minister, here will lead to a qualitative shift in our economic relations. With all the signs of advancement, there can be no doubt that Guyana is poised for greater success in the future.
The formal creation of BritCham Guyana was announced back in February on the sidelines of the 2023 International Energy Conference and Expo at the Marriott Hotel, Georgetown. British and Guyanese companies are encouraged to contact BritCham Guyana to sign up as members to enjoy the full benefits of its support in exploring and accessing each market. High Commissioner Miller said she's convinced that even with other well-established and competing business representative bodies, there is space for BritCham Guyana to succeed, a sentiment supported by the United Kingdom Parliamentary Under-Secretary of State David Rutley. The new organisation will be chaired by Gyson's Group Chief Executive Officer and UK Guyanese citizen Faisal Khan, supported by a board of leading business executives with close ties to both countries, with an office at Pegasus Suites and Corporate Centre in Georgetown.
It's a clear win-win. It's a clear win-win. It's a win for Guyana and it's a win for the diaspora. That's exactly what we see BritCham being. A win for Guyana and a win for Great Britain.
Over the weekend, Prime Minister Mia Moore-Motley, in her address at a fundraiser held by the Barbados Canada Foundation, expressed alarm at the ease in which people in the U.S. are able to get automatic weapons. Prime Minister Motley says the region continues to suffer from the trafficking of illegal firearms, as she called out countries who refuse to curtail the sale of automatic weapons in spite of the clear evidence of the impact.
And regrettably, you in Canada and we in the Caribbean continue to suffer as a result of that movement and trafficking of arms, and causing our societies now to be literally torn in ways that we have not prepared ourselves for. A fella might have hit a fella with a 2x3 before. A fella might even have let go a single shot. But when you start to use automatic weapons that spray bullets, notice the verb, spray, then we have a problem for the stability of our societies. Because it means that the person who is least mentally capable will determine the well-being and welfare of a family, a community, and a country. The mission that we want to set ourselves and the conversation that we are having in our social partnership with the private sector, with the labor movement, and we are about to broaden it in the next month, such that by the 1st of May, we want to settle a mission that will allow us to achieve that world-class status. We want to be blue and green. Why? You can either choose to look at Barbados as a small island developing state, or you can choose to look at us as a large ocean state. A large ocean state at a time when the next frontier to save this planet is the ocean.
In Antigua and Barbuda, several local first responders have received training in dealing with emergencies related to electric vehicles. It comes as part of the Department of Environment project to increase the number of EVs in the country. Jamie J. Rocher reports.
First responders are getting a lesson on the general workings of electric vehicles. They're learning how emergencies with EVs differ from those of gas and diesel-powered vehicles. The training falls under a component of the Environment Department's Sustainable Low-Emission Island Mobility, or SLIM project. Project coordinator Melissa LeBlanc says they're working to increase the country's uptake of electric vehicles.
And it's also to support the implementation of Antigua and Barbuda's nationally determined contributions. So Antigua has committed conditionally, based on finance that you would get internationally, to transition to 100% electric vehicles in the government sector by 2035, with an overall transition in Antigua and Barbuda by between 2040 and 2045.
Stanley Barreto is the director of Megapower Antigua, which sells and services electric vehicles in this country. As a lead training instructor, he explains the best ways to identify electric vehicles during emergencies and how to approach an EV fire incident.
It is generally recommended in the event of a high voltage battery becomes involved in fire, allow the battery to burn itself out. Unless you wish to use an Olympic pool-sized amount of water, or you have the appropriate extinguisher, it's not going to stop.
But he says these types of fires are rare and will eventually cease to occur since manufacturers are modifying the chemistry of the batteries. Firefighters and emergency medical technicians were among the participants. The training was also open to personnel from the Defense Force, Transport Board and ABSA, as well as taxi drivers, insurance companies and electronics technicians. Jamie J. Rocher, ABS News.
In international news, the United Nations General Assembly has adopted a resolution proposed by the South Pacific island nation of Vanuatu to seek an opinion from the International Court of Justice on what legal obligations nations are under to protect climate systems and people affected by climate change.
A historic decision that campaigners say is a major step forward for climate justice.
It is so decided.
No vote was needed, the General Assembly deciding by consensus to ask the world's highest court, the International Court of Justice, to determine what obligations countries have for the climate damage they've caused.
Festering climate injustice feeds divisions and threatens to paralyze global climate action. So, Excellencies, for those on the front lines already paying the price for global heating they did nothing to cause, climate justice is both a vital recognition and a tool. Recognition that all people on our planet are of equal worth, and a tool to build resilience against spiraling climate impacts.
The efforts to negotiate this treaty were led by the Pacific island of Vanuatu.
This was the end of a very long campaign. How did you feel in that moment?
I'm a very, very happy person because I can assure my kids and the kids around the world that the leaders of the countries of this global community are actually listening to the plight of the future of mankind.
The small island of Vanuatu suffered a devastating cyclone earlier this year, highlighting the fact it's a country that's whole existence is threatened by climate change. The original idea for the UN resolution actually came from law students studying here at the University of the South Pacific. One of them was Cynthia Hauniuhi.
It's surreal. I still can't believe that we've gotten this far, and it's a testament to a lot of the determination that youths have. It's a testament to when youths are moved by genuine concern, not only for their future, but the future of our generations yet to come.
At the end of the meeting, the UN Secretary-General told me it was a big victory. But UN insiders say, even though this resolution passed by consensus, there are some major countries which have a problem with it. And they expect some national submissions to the International Court of Justice in an effort to narrow the eventual ruling of the judges. James Bays, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations.
Despite living in Africa's most industrialized economy, nearly a third of South Africa's workforce is jobless. While President Cyril Ramaphosa says youth unemployment is a national crisis, some people say his aging government is not invested in their future.
Tokondo Nkoze's mother hasn't worked for years. He's also unemployed and has a family to look after. At 29 years old, he says young people like him are growing increasingly despondent about the lack of job opportunities in South Africa.
We are getting irate if we aren't already. We are getting frustrated with what is happening and what we are seeing. We are really getting, or we are already up to here with the promises that have never been met, not even one.
His mother is worried.
I wish that government would actually take this very serious because it's driving our youth to depression. Depression that is leading to drug addiction.
Nearly 3 decades after the end of white minority rule in South Africa, most of those feeling marginalized and economically excluded are poor and black. Critics blame the high unemployment rate on a number of factors: global events, the pandemic, and corruption.
South Africa has one of the most unequal societies in the world, and the gap between the rich and poor is growing. Millions are trapped in poverty. High levels of unemployment here don't make things easier.
In sports, history was made on the second day of the 2023 ISA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships inside the National Stadium in St. Andrew on Wednesday night. Kingston College's star sprinter Buaji Nkrumah ran a sub-10 in the Class 1 boys 100 meters. The speed doctor stormed to victory in a record-breaking 9.99 seconds. Nkrumah becomes the first schoolboy in Jamaican track and field history and the third junior athlete worldwide to complete the blue ribbon event in under 10 seconds. In the girls' side, Heidel's Alana Reid delivered a scintillating sub-11 seconds in the girls' Class 100-meter clash. She stopped the clock in a new national under-20 record of 10.92 seconds. That time is below the previous national record of 10.95 seconds set by Tina Clayton last year. It also broke Veronica Campbell-Brown's 22-year-old championship mark of 11.13 seconds set back in 2001. Boys and girls champs continues until Saturday, April 1. Republic Bank Limited, the largest indigenous bank in the English-speaking Caribbean, has been announced as the new title sponsor and official bank of the Caribbean Premier League, CPL.
The second most viewed T20 tournament in the world made a huge announcement today at the Queen's Park Oval in St. Clair, and TTT Sport was there. With the anticipation of the Caribbean Premier League set to begin this year in August comes big news. Republic Bank is now the title sponsor for the period 2023 to 2025. CPL's Chief Executive Officer Pete Russell made the revelation of the partnership, which will span over a 3-year period.
And it's with great pleasure and great excitement and anticipation that I am able to announce today that Republic Bank will become CPL's new title sponsor for the next 3 years.
Meanwhile, President and Managing Director of Republic Bank Limited, Nigel Batiste, said the bank chose to expand its long-standing relationship with the CPL while celebrating over 185 years as a banking institution.
I mean, we are very eager. We look forward to working with you. Our teams look forward to working with your teams. We think that the Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League could be an experience like no other. And our intention is that working together with you guys, right, that we will show the world who the Caribbean people really are.
Republic Bank has also been confirmed as a partner for the Women's Caribbean Premier League, which will return in 2023 for its second edition, with another revelation made by the CPL CEO.
The women will play in Barbados and Trinidad this year. So, yes, we can officially announce that the finals of the women will be played in Trinidad.
The tournament's player draft is set for June 5th, with the 2023 Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League bowling off on August 16th to September 24th, 2023.
And that's the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.